The number one that really scares people is when you're setting up your high standards. Sounds like a detail, saying, oh, or not important, but this is extremely important. When you're either way, if you're building up your career, if you're a junior, if you're at a mid-level career or senior, that's a complaint that I've heard so many times from my students and from my clients from my career counseling and my consultant. Setting up high standards. Why this really it's difficult? Number one, a lot of times we as individuals, we are concerned about of not being accepted into a particular group, or we are also afraid of rejections. And that's being human. We all, including myself, we are afraid of rejections. Of course, rejections are bitter. Nobody deserves and nobody wants to feel the pain of a rejection. And I'm explaining that because if we are able to identify what triggers us to not act in a particular way, or what makes us to avoid some particular situations, or what makes us to not behave towards our values, our goals, and you can bring up the rejection. We are humans. However, we need to be aware that rejections are part of our lives. There is no such way to just walk away without the rejections, but we can do better. And when we face a rejection, so going back to the high standards, knowing that this can be a trigger, the sentiment, the feeling of being afraid. Sometimes we expect you have your standards, but they are not as solid as you think. And maybe being afraid of rejections, you start to flexibilize, saying, okay, I had this standard for my life, for my career, for my goals, but all right, I'm gonna open an exception here, or I'm gonna just relax in this particular criterion because it's gonna be better. What if people, they will not like? Trust me, it's very, very important to set up your standards and letting people know about your high standards. When you're setting up your standards, you're also educating people around you about what matters for you, not only in terms here, setting up high standards, not only in terms of productive. No, we're talking beyond here, setting up your standards as a human. What are the circumstances or the behaviors that you accept, and what are the ones that you do not accept? What are your values? What are your values they are negotiable, and what are your values that you do not negotiate at all? So set up your high standards for your life, for your career. If you are loyal to your standards, not saying that your next decision is going to be easier, but you're going to have certainly more clarity towards that final decision because you go back to your standards and you're going to see if that opportunity or that situation, if it aligns with you have set as your standard. So I'm gonna see you in my next video. If you like career talk here, professional growth, this is the place, this is the channel for you. Do not forget to like this video, to subscribe, and why not send it to your friends and you know they're gonna love to hear about this. Feel free also to comment here below. Tell me why it's so difficult. If you mastered the boundaries issue already, if you have some tips for people, I am happy to read your comments or here to reply your questions. Bye bye.